Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Alert. For years, one number has haunted the Iraqi Dinar community, refusing to disappear: $3.22. You've seen it in forums and YouTube comments, and you've seen investors holding stacks of banknotes, all saying the same thing. Iraq once had the strongest currency in the Middle East. It will happen again. But is this just a myth? A fantasy? Or is there a real historical foundation behind it? Well, here's the shocking truth. The Iraqi dinar really did trade for over $3. And once you understand how that happened, you'll also understand whether it can ever happen again. This video isn't about hype. It's about history, economics, oil strategy, and global finance, all connected to one simple question: could the Iraqi dinar ever return to 322? Let's start by rewinding the clock. Today, the dinar trades for fractions of a penny. But in the 1970s and early 80s, the situation was completely different. Back then, Iraq had no foreign debt, massive oil reserves, and was undergoing rapid development. We're talking free healthcare, strong agriculture, and a growing industrial sector. And most importantly, the dinar wasn't weak. It was one of the strongest currencies on the entire planet. At one point, one Iraqi dinar was worth around $3.30. Yes, it was stronger than the British pound in certain years. So why was it so strong? Four main reasons. First, the 1973 oil crisis. OPEC gained massive pricing power, and Iraq became incredibly wealthy almost overnight. Second, Iraq had a small population but massive oil exports. That means a huge GDP per person, making it easy for the government to back its currency. Third, its monetary structure was partially linked to real assets like gold, not just printing presses. And fourth, the central bank had strict control over exchange rates and the banking system. The result? The dinar became a premium regional currency. So what destroyed the $3 rate? The dinar didn't crash because of a bad economy. It collapsed because of war and sanctions. The Iran-Iraq War started in 1980, forcing Iraq to borrow billions, which put pressure on the currency. But the real turning point was the 1990 invasion of Kuwait. After that, the United Nations hit Iraq with crippling sanctions. Global trade stopped, oil exports were blocked, and foreign reserves were frozen. Imagine a country with no exports, no international banking, and no foreign currency coming in. The government had only one choice: print money. And when you print massive amounts of cash without any production to back it up, inflation explodes. The dinar collapsed from over $3 to mere cents and then to almost nothing. During the sanctions of the 1990s, something strange happened. Northern Iraq kept using older Swiss-printed banknotes, while the rest of the country used newly printed notes. The result shocked economists. The older notes actually held their value better. Why? Because people trusted them. This teaches us a vital lesson. Currency value isn't just about economics, it's about confidence. After the 2003 invasion, the entire system was rebuilt. The Central Bank of Iraq introduced a brand new dinar, removing the old hyperinflated notes and replacing them with modern currency. This was a huge step because for the first time since 1990, Iraq had a stable currency again. But here's the critical part. The new dinar was deliberately set at a very low value. Why? Because a war-torn country needed to encourage exports, reconstruction, and trade. A $3 currency would have completely destroyed any chance of economic recovery. So the central bank chose a low program rate, not a real market valuation. This brings us to why investors believe in a revaluation, or RV. They focus on one key idea: Iraq is not a poor country. It is a rich country with a temporarily weak currency. Think about it. Iraq sits on some of the largest oil reserves on Earth, right up there with giants like Saudi Arabia and Canada, yet its currency is one of the weakest. This creates the central question: why does a resource-rich nation have such a low-value currency? This apparent mismatch is exactly why people expect a major revaluation. Now, many people misunderstand what a revaluation actually is. An RV is not about becoming a millionaire overnight or waking up to a $3 rate. A revaluation simply means the central bank officially increases the currency's value against foreign currencies. This typically happens when a country has its inflation under control, has strong foreign reserves, a stable banking system, and normalized international trade. So where does Iraq stand today? Well, the country is exporting over 3 million barrels of oil per day. It holds over $100 billion in foreign reserves. Inflation has been reduced and the non-oil sectors are growing. We're seeing development in electronic banking, and the country is slowly re-entering the global financial system. And perhaps the biggest development of all is de-dollarization. Iraq is actively working to reduce its reliance on the US dollar for internal transactions. This is crucial. A country can't have its own strong currency if everyone is still using another nation's money for daily business. So could $3.22 actually happen again? The honest answer is theoretically yes. But realistically, it's extremely complicated. The global monetary system today is vastly different from the 1970s. Currencies now float freely on massive international markets. For the dinar to reach $3, Iraq would need massive GDP growth, a fully diversified economy beyond oil, solid political stability, and full integration into the global banking system. A more realistic scenario, according to experts, is a path of gradual appreciation, not a sudden RV shock. This could happen in stages. Maybe a redenomination where they remove zeros from the banknotes, followed by a managed float against other currencies, and eventually a stronger peg. Instead of a sudden jump to $3, the dinar would slowly strengthen over many years. So why do the rumors keep coming back every few months? The RV is happening this weekend. You hear it all the time. It happens because people see news about Iraqi banking reforms, WATO discussions, new oil agreements, or budget announcements, and they interpret each event as an immediate trigger. But central banks move slowly and carefully. A sudden currency shock would be disastrous for Iraq's economy. But here's the biggest hidden factor, something most investors overlook: oil pricing power. The real power behind the dinar is how Iraq sells its oil. If Iraq eventually starts selling its oil in dinars or through non-USD trade systems, the global demand for the Iraqi dinar would increase dramatically. That would be the true long-term catalyst, not rumors. So, is history repeating itself? It doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. The Iraq of today is not the Iraq of 1995. It is actively rebuilding its infrastructure, its banking system, and its regional trade relationships. The same fundamental conditions that once created a strong dinar massive natural wealth are slowly forming again, but this time within a modern, complex global economy. The $3 and -20 cent rate is not a fantasy. It's a historical fact. However, reaching that level again would require a complete transformation of Iraq's economy. The real question isn't, will it suddenly RV, but rather, can Iraq become a fully stable and diversified economic power again? If that happens, then one day, not overnight, but gradually, the dinar could regain real strength. Maybe not exactly 322, but far, far stronger than it is today. And that is why, after all these decades, investors are still watching Iraq, because ultimately, currency value follows national power. And Iraq, despite everything, still holds enormous potential. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.